Hello. Last week we looked at Li Bai's 望庐山瀑布, a thoroughly imaginative and romantic poem on the subject of scenic Lushan. Today we will look at a poem written 300 years later, also about Lushan, by another all-time great, Su Shi, in the Song dynasty. Some Song poems, or Song Shi, are usually almost identical in format with Tang poems, but often have a very different style. Let's learn this poem first, and then perhaps you will have a feel why I said so. This is another 七言绝句, which we are now very familiar with. The title is 题西林壁. Xilin is the name of a temple in Lushan, so the temple is called 西林寺. Si means temple. Bi is wall. So Xilin Bi means the wall of Xilin Temple. In the old days, it was a long-held tradition that certain walls, or for example, from a temple or historic building or restaurant or tea house, etc., were kept blank for anybody who were inspired at the moment and felt like writing a poem. So the poet would directly write on the wall using a 毛笔, brush, for writing. If it was good, the poem would be copied and the wall would be repainted. Or sometimes if it turned out to be a masterpiece by someone famous, the whole wall with the writing might be preserved altogether. Of course, this tradition is gone now, so please don't try to write on any walls next time when you visit China. Anyway, this act of writing on the wall is called 题. So if you wrote a few words, we call it 题字. This 字. If you wrote a whole poem, we called it 题诗. So this title means that this poem was written by the poet directly on the wall of Xilin Temple, and it is obvious this was done while he was sightseeing in Lushan. In fact, apart from being a giant in poetry, Su Shi was also a first-rated painter and calligrapher, and his calligraphy work was very sought after during his lifetime. So it's no surprise that this piece of work by Su Shi would be relished by people and kept as a sightseeing highlight. Unfortunately, the original was destroyed years ago, and people now put up a replica somewhere else at Lushan. It's like this. It actually may not even be a true replica, as we are really not sure if that's what the original handwriting looks like. I myself have not been there, and I think it must be interesting to go there one day and find out more about its history. Let's first the poem together. 横看成岭侧成峰，远近高低各不同，不识庐山真面目，只缘身在此山中。横 literally means horizontal, and here just means from the front, straight on. 侧 means from the side. 看 is to have a look. 成 means to become, or from the context could be interpreted as look like. 岭 and the 峰 are quite similar in meaning, which is certain shapes or peaks of or within a big mountain. So this line is saying, in a very non-specific way, that when you look at Lushan, if you look at it from the front or look at it from the side, it will show different types of shapes, i.e., it will all look different. The poem did not specify it was Lushan because he was writing on the wall of a temple in Lushan, so that was pretty obvious. The second line is really a further natural explanation to the first line. 远 is far, 近 is near, 高 is high, and 低 is low. 各 means each. Here, each of the situation just described, either 远 or 近 or 高 or 低. 不同 not the same. Whether you look at Lushan from afar or near or high or low, it will always look different. So far, nothing too special, just some introduction on the background of the poem. But like many good poems, the standout, shining bit lies in the last two lines. It's a natural continuation to what has been written. Now we know Lushan looks different from wherever you look at it from. What is it actually like? And why does it always look different? 不识, not recognizing. 真 is real. 面目, 面 is face, and 目 is eye. As 目 in 欲穷千里目, if you still remember. Together, 面目, face and eyes, is a figurative saying, meaning the overall appearance of something or somebody. This line is saying the reason why we can't recognize the true appearance of Lushan is, this reason is revealed in the last line. 只缘身在此山中. 只 only. 缘 means because. 身 literally means body, and here refers to someone, him or herself. 在 means located, describing where someone or something is. 此 is this. 此山, this mountain, means the very Lushan the poet was in. 中 is in the middle of. So the reason you cannot see what Lushan is truly like is only because you yourself is right in it. Isn't it such a revelation, and yet so simple? We can see that in this poem, Su Shi, like his predecessors, used very simple and plain words, but then, with an unpretentious flow, reached a thought-provoking conclusion. This conclusion is extremely philosophical and could be applied to many scenarios in our lives. When we are struggling with something and couldn't see the essence of it, it may only because we are so obsessed in the details, only because we're too deeply trapped within. What we need to do is perhaps to jump out of it, to look at the big picture, just like Su Shi, when he was in Lushan, walking from here to there, could never understand the true likes of it. Because of this almost all scenarios fitting wisdom, conveyed with such elegance in a poem, these two lines have been so much loved by people and have entered the standard Chinese language usage in many forms. For example, whenever you want to tell someone to disentangle from something with tricky details, or try to make a decision from a range of options, you could say the reason why you can't sort it out is because you 只缘身在此山中啊, or to refer to some complicated matters, or someone who is hard to read, or something difficult to get a grip on, we can call it 庐山真面目. This 庐山真面目. We say we really can't see his or its 庐山真面目. 我们实在看不清他的庐山真面目. You could even drop the 庐山 reference and only say 我们看不清他的真面目. And you will know now the origin of this 真面目 is from this poem by Su Shi. These two lines are so popular and well weaved into the Chinese language, people often do not realize that they actually came from this poem. It's another Chinese language and cultural symbol that is hidden in the Asian poetry. Now that we've learned this poem, we can try to see how poems written in the Song dynasty differ from Tang poems. Now we must bear in mind that these comparisons are never absolute, but only provide a very rough picture of these matters. After all, both Tang Shi and Song Shi represent the prime eras of the Chinese poetry and are very close to each other in format and content. But while Tang poems are generally more expressive, more free, more about personal feelings, one aspect of Song poems is that they appear more calm, controlled, and objective. They also tend to try to explain things through logic and reasoning, or to reveal some truth to be philosophical. So, at first glance, it may not be as exciting, but the more you read them, the more you can appreciate their own unique charm. There is no which is better than the other, but just down to difference in style and personal preference. That's all, and hope you enjoy this poem.